Okay, so what did we discuss in the last class? We ended with this slide, right? We had started PLC. Before that, we discussed CNC, isn't it? We had seen how that CNC technology is being utilized for manufacturing, right? What does it contain? What are the different parts, right? The advantages we discussed quite in depth yesterday. What are the different advantages that you get when we are using the CNC technology and the CNC machines, different machines? We saw what all are the options that we have under CNC. We have grinding, turning, milling, right? The most common being CNC milling. And the advantages, disadvantages as well, right? And the technologies that comes under NC. Firstly, we had NC machines, numerical control machines, and then a dedicated computer. If you have to control that NC machine, you call it a CNC machine. Also, another difference between an NC and CNC is that in CNC, initially you require only for initial program entry, you require that tape reader. After that, it will be stored as software. That part program that you have can be stored and can be retrieved for future uses. But for NC, every time you have to use that tape, punch tape, right? So, and then you have direct numerical control, central control you have of all the different CNC machines. Okay, there's one main computer which is connected to different NC machines. So, and the other is distributed one, right? Now we have library of programs in that. So those were the things. And we saw the different CNC, and also we saw a video, right, that explained all those how all those complicated parts are being produced with CNC, about the different axis, 5-axis machines being used for complicated products, right? And then we started with PLC, right? Programmable logic controller. So we are seeing that can be defined as a digitally operating electronic apparatus or microcomputer based controller. Okay, basically PLC can be called a computer, okay, because it has all the components that you would see in a computer. So it's a microcomputer based controller, okay, because it is trying to control, as the name suggests, that uses stored instructions in programmable memory, right? Those stored instructions are in programmable memory to implement logic sequencing, timing, counting, and arithmetic functions. Okay, these are all the capabilities or the possibilities that we have. Through what? Through digital or analog input output modules. Okay, taking in the input and then controlling the output based out of all those logic sequencing and timing also, and counting, arithmetic functions. Okay, all these are for controlling what? Machines and processes, right? So that was the comprehensive definition. Applications, as we discussed yesterday, process industries and discrete manufacturing. Process industry is wherein you have majorly a process going on in the industry, like you see this chemical processing. So it could be any chemical, okay, or like for example, I gave the cement as an example, the production of cement in cement plants, that also comes under chemical processing. So it could be any liquid, paper mill operations, food production, okay. Associated with discrete manufacturing industries to control individual machines or machine cells or transfer lines. Okay, this all comes under discrete manufacturing, right? So for process as well as discrete manufacturing. So you have transfer lines, you have material handling equipment. Okay, which to summarize, you can say, I mean, briefly, if you want to discuss, how should that guided vehicle move, okay, which is transferring the different work pieces between workstations. When how does that happen? Like using sensors, you will sense this component is there, and based out of the schedule, that component should be taken to another workstation at that time. Okay, so that PLC will handle, right? So the brain of that material handling equipment, we can say, would be this system, and also automated storage system as well. Okay. Okay. Before the PLCs, what we used to do were these all relays, coils, counters, timers. Okay, all physical, mostly physical equipments. Okay, you had all wires to connect. Okay, hardwired controllers composed of these elements and similar components were used to implement this type of industrial, same type of industrial control. Okay, and now we are achieving it with PLCs. Just a minute. Okay, so that was about the introduction to PLC, and this is how that PLC looks like. Okay, I should slide share. Okay, this is how a standard PLC looks like. Okay, manufactured by Siemens. That's one a major company, you can say. They manufacture PLCs. Okay, so you see it has this display unit is what we can call it. Okay, and some control buttons, right? And input and output, as you can see here, input on the top, output at the bottom, right? And inside you have all those components that we'll discuss. Okay, so that's how it looks like, right? So these are for basic manipulations. Okay, not in-depth programming. Your programming will be done when you attach it to an external device. Okay, there will be another device which you'll attach so that we can program it. So in here, only some basic manipulations is what we can do with these buttons. Okay. And here you have the basic components. Okay. The basic components of PLC. So you see, it has 5 basic components. You have a processor, memory unit, power supply, input output module, and programming device. So as you can see in this diagram here, you have firstly the input on the left side, right? The input output, the input interface that is to connect to the input devices. Okay, on the right side you have the output devices. Okay, so that interface is there, and the processor, as we can see, is here in the middle. So that is what takes the input, and after processing it gives out the output. Okay, you have the memory unit attached, power supply, right, to be able to operate, and then as I said, the programming device. Okay, that is to be attached and programmed, right? So we'll see these components in detail. If you have any doubts, you can ask in the middle or put in the chat box. Okay. So you see processor. So that's we can call it the central processing unit of this programmable controller. Okay, because that is what it handles all the computations, right? So it executes the various logic and sequencing functions by operating on the PLC inputs to determine the appropriate output signals. Okay, so basically, as I said, this is what executes the various logic and sequencing functions. So we'll have that program that we have written will have that logic, okay, program. As for example, if this is not on, then turn this on. Okay, like if the sensor is on, then activate the switch, like that. Okay, this is the kind of logic that we give in the program. So and all those sequencing which is to be done first, and how is it to be executed. Okay, so and that is how, based on the PLC inputs. Okay, and how do you get the inputs? Based out of your input devices, right? We see here the different input sensing devices, right? All those switches: push button switch, we have pressure switch, liquid level switch, limit switch. Okay, those all will give us the status of the input. Okay, and based out of that, the processor will execute the functions. Okay, to determine the appropriate output signals. Okay, what output signal is to be sent to the output device, right? Based out of the PLC inputs that we have received. Clear? So CPU consists of one or more microprocessors, okay, similar to those used in PCs, personal computers, and other data processing equipment. So you see, microprocessor is what, because we generally in our PCs we do have microprocessors, right? So this CPU also consists of that microprocessor. Okay, so that is what solves the computations and other data processing equipment. So one thing to clarify: do not confuse microprocessor with microcontroller. Okay, that is another topic that you have after PLC. That is a different thing. Okay, microcontroller is a different thing. So basically, to briefly say, microcontrollers does the same thing as the PLC. Because what is PLC? Programmable logic controller, isn't it? So that other thing is microcontroller. Okay, so they do the same thing, but we have differences, and why we'll see why PLC is more preferred and why microprocessor is preferred. I'm sorry, microcontroller is preferred in places where PLC is not used. Okay, so just to clarify, our PLC will have microprocessors inside, right? So that is there, and these microprocessors have a real-time operating system. Okay, and are programmed to facilitate input-output transactions and execute ladder logic functions. Okay, that's the technical word to use. The program that is written in the form of ladder logic functions. Okay, so that those microprocessors have a real-time operating system. Okay, they check in what is the status of the input. Okay, real time it's happening. It happens simultaneously, that it checks the status of the inputs and then gives out the output signal. Okay, simultaneously, so that because as the situation changes, the inputs will change, the input signals will change. So the microprocessor has to be a real-time operating system. That is what we mean by that. Okay, so they are programmed to facilitate input-output transactions, right, and execute those functions. Hardened, okay, the complete PLC or the processor unit basically especially is hardened so that the CPU and other electronic components will operate in the electrically noisy environment of the factory. Okay, what we mean here is electrically noisy. So it's not physically, as we know, like physical noise. Those are electrical noises. Basically, you have signals, right? Signals and waves. So based out of that, in that environment of the factory, okay, the equipment that we are using has to be enclosed. Okay, that is why we are using the word hardened. Okay, so it is basically completely packed, as you can see here, right, to be able to operate without the disturbance, outside electrical disturbances that we have. Okay, doubts? No doubts? Okay. Then you have the memory unit. Okay, another component of the PLC. So memory unit is connected to the CPU. Okay, contains the programs of logic, sequencing, and input output operations, right? So that's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to contain all the programs that is to be executed, right? And all the input output operations based on the program that we have written. Holds data files associated with the programs, including input output status bits, counter and timer constants, and other variable and parameter values, right? All the data files, basically discussing what all it contains. Okay, data files associated with the programs also, what all that needs. Okay, if for example there are sub programs also, right? So all those files, so that as and when it is required for the program, they are to be supplied, right, by the memory unit. So one program may reference the other program. Okay, as we have assemblies and sub assemblies, you have programs and sub programs. So even one program may call in another program altogether. It's a different program, but that is to be utilized here. So all those has to be supplied by the memory unit. Okay, this memory unit is referred to as a user or application memory because its contents are entered by the user. Okay, you have one thing called application memory inside. Okay, or what we call is a user memory. Why we are calling it the user memory? Because the contents of it is what are entered by the user, right? For example, we are trying to give in, as I said, the program. Okay, the program that we have is to be fed, right? So where that resides, okay, is what we call as application memory, right? Because those are the user fed contents, right? Additionally, the processor also contains the operating system memory. Okay, apart from that application memory, you have operating system memory, which directs the execution of the control program and coordinates input output operations, right? So you see that operating system memory is also another division in that memory. Okay, what it does, it directs the execution of the control program and coordinates input output operations. So you see in our PCs as well, you have a dedicated memory just for the operating system. Okay, that will be consumed. So you don't get the full memory that you get, isn't it? That's the reason why. So some part of the memory is reserved for operating system to be utilized. So in here also, you have a separate classification in memory, that you have application memory or user based memory, and other thing is operating system memory dedicated for the operating system, so that it executes all the programs written for it. For example, you see how should the equipment know that it should check in the status of the inputs and then scan them and then execute the output. So that itself is dictated by the program of the operating system, right? So all those programs to be kept inside the operating system require some memory, right? So you see the difference. Just for the PLC to perform as it should be performing, you require that operating system memory. And
sir, excuse me, sir, 1 minute. This is Fatima, ma'am.
yes, ma'am.
1 second. 374 Nagaraju. He is actually lying down and his camera is on. I think just now he switched it off.
Okay.
Nagaraju. Dear students, if you are going to lie down, sleep, or walk around and follow the classes, you know, you're not going to get anything into your heads. Please pay attention. Maintain some protocol, like I mentioned, maintain some you know, decency while you're listening to the classes. Sit up and have a book and a pen and everything. Your faculty would have told you already how to pay attention. This is not the way. Please carry on, sir.
Okay, ma'am. Okay. So you see, that was about the memory, right? So any doubts regarding that memory unit, the second component in our no? Okay. And the next one is your power supply, right? Because to be able to for the memory unit and the CPU to operate, basically for the CPU to operate, you require power supply to be there. So typically we have either 115 volt or 230 volt alternating current AC, right, is used to drive the PLC. So what it does, what the system does is it converts the 115 volt or either 230 volt AC into direct current, okay, voltages of plus or minus 5 volt. Because the reason for having these low voltages is these low voltages are used for operating the equipment, right? For the equipment to get to start, right, you have to give it a signal, right? So that's those signals will have smaller voltages. The equipment may itself require a higher voltage. That is what is being mentioned, that equipment may have a higher voltage and power ratings than the PLC itself. Okay, so that is why we have the conversion of that AC into DC current, also of very low voltage, as you can see. So often includes a battery backup as well. Okay, that switches on automatically in the event of an external power source failure. Okay, inside the CPU unit, you have a dedicated compartment for battery backup also in some systems, in some PLCs. Okay, as is mentioned, in the event of an external power source failure, so that it should continue for some time, right? And then the input output module, right, as we saw in that diagram, right, the different input sensing devices and the output sensing output devices that we are controlling. So input output interface section of a PLC connects it to the external field devices, right? Those all input devices are also external devices, physical devices, and also the output devices. So the PLC, for it to be connected, you require an interface, both at the input side and the output side. Main purpose is to condition the various signals, right, received from or sent to the external input and output devices, right, simultaneously, respectively. That you have to condition the signals, that the signals from the input device may not be in a form that is understood by the CPU of the PLC. Okay, that is what we mean by condition. So you have to condition the signals both coming from the input side, okay, so that the PLC can understand that, the CPU of the PLC. And also before being sent to the output devices, you have to condition the signal so that this signal is compatible with what the output device, what we are using. Okay, so you require that interface for that conditioning to be done. Input modules convert signals from discrete or analog input devices to logic levels acceptable to PLC's processor, right? As I had mentioned, it could be either discrete or analog input devices to the logic levels accepted to PLC's processor. That's what is for the input, right? Same thing for the output. Output module converts signal from the processor, because that is what has solved the computation, right? So to levels capable of driving the connected discrete or analog output devices. Okay, so that is what the output modules does. Okay, and PLC programming. So as is written, it is software driven equipment, just like a computer, right? So you need to program it for the PLC to execute the instructions, right? So you have to have a programming done. As I said, you plug in that programming device for you to install the program that you have written. Okay, there are softwares, right, PLC softwares that are used to write those ladder logic functions, as we have seen earlier. Okay, working of PLC or process is decided by user through program, right? That program is what dictates how the PLC, what the PLC should do. CPU sequentially reads the instructions and operates control elements based on input signals and program instructions, right? That's what CPU does when we are fed the program. Reads the instructions, operates control elements based on input signals and program instructions. So what switch is to be turned on, or what, for example, a solenoid is to be actuated, right? Programming can be done online or offline. Okay, you could either do it in a dedicated software and then after that you install it, or you plug in and then do it simultaneously. Okay, doubts? No, clear. And who was that who was lying down? Nagaraju, 374. And you even switched on the video. What is that? What is that uh, supposed to mean? Was that intentional? By mistake? Okay, but still I have to maintain some decency, right? And needless to say, you have to take down running notes, isn't it? Because you see, when you will get notes, yes, every faculty in here will give you the notes, but the way you have understood it, okay, and when you write it, you somehow you have to rephrase that, right? You have to analyze what you have heard and then you have to write that down. So that involves some what do you call some brain work, isn't it? There's some activity going on that itself will help you to get the topic. Okay, if you're reading it at a later point of time, then it'll be easier for you to catch that, like, yes, I have heard it, for the brain to understand that, yes, I've heard this topic, okay, and this is what I had learned that day. Okay, that is why you have to keep running notes, okay, because it involves some brain activity, right, and keeps you uh, focused as well, isn't it? So do write running notes, okay. Okay, so no doubts, right? Operation, PLC operation. You see, basic operation of a typical PLC, what it does is it reads all the field input devices. Okay, what is the status of it? Okay, if it is a digital device, then it may be on or off, that's all. Okay, that's the status that we are reading. Is it on or off? Or if it is an analog device, it could be the value of it. What is the value of, for example, let's say uh, a pressure gauge, for example. Okay, so what is the exact pressure right now? That is what we are scanning. That is what we mean by reading it. Okay, read all field input devices via the input interfaces, right? We have discussed the input interfaces will give us will convert those signals, right, compatible with the CPU of the PLC. So we are able to read the field input devices. That's the first thing that it does. And then what it does is it executes the user program stored in application memory, right? So once we have read the input, you execute the user program, right? That is written, and that program will require the input values that you have just read. Okay, those are to be given to the program, and then the program will tell you what to do, right? And then you perform whatever control is necessary for the process application, or turn the field output devices on or off. Okay, just as you had digital devices in the input, you may have digital devices in the output. that you just have to on or off it. Okay. For example, a motor, right? You switch it on and off, right? So that's one thing that you can do, that the PLC can do when we mean performing, okay, whatever control is necessary based out of the program that we have written, right? Based on whatever control scheme has been programmed by the user. Yes. And this program of sequentially reading, this process of sequentially reading the inputs, executing the program in the memory, and updating the outputs is known as scanning. Okay, that's what we call, the process is called scanning. Okay. And also important to mention, I've mentioned it before also, that the proper format is, you should join in with your roll number and then your name. Okay, not the other way around. Okay, because there are some candidates who are having name first. So have your roll number first and then your name. Okay. Okay. So is that clear? The basic operation of the PLC? Okay. So you see, if you want to have it in phase form, then we can see it like this, how that PLC scan cycle works. While the PLC is running, the scanning process that we had seen, right? Scanning process includes the following 4 phases, which are repeated continuously as individual cycles of operation. So phase 1, input status scan, right? A PLC scan cycle begins with the CPU reading the status of its inputs. That's the first step. Because to be able to feed to the program, right? For example, if you want to change the temperature of a room, for example, okay, then you have to know what is the current situation in the room, what is the temperature or humidity, etc. Right? So that's what is the first step, right? Common sense, that you read in what all is there, the present situation. And how do you do that? With the help of your input devices. So that's the first step, input status scan. And the phase 2, logic solve or program execution. Okay, the application program is executed using the status of the inputs, right? Based out of the inputs, you now decide that as per the logic, ladder logic program, you execute that is executed, right? So that, for example, the program says the temperature of the room should be maybe 20, okay, and right now it's 25. So that is how you, based out of the inputs, the program will say, will ask the output device, which maybe in our case is that what do you call that, evaporator, right? The last step, if you have learned the refrigeration part, the component that cools up the room, the last component in the cycle of the refrigeration cycle is the evaporator. So it will ask the evaporator to give out more air or more cool air, basically. So as for the program, you execute that. Okay. And the third step, diagnostic communication. Once this program is executed, the CPU performs diagnostic and communication tasks, right? To be able to communicate to the output devices, right? And phase 4, output status scan. An output status scan is then performed, whereby the stored output values are sent to actuators and other field output devices, right? Actuator is one form of output device, right? As we had seen, the cycle ends by updating the outputs. Okay, once you have given the outputs, right, you have updated what is to be done, isn't it? So